either live streamed or came to Command Con today. We're going to have more questions for you, Nick, but I am super excited because I know you'll be able to help answer questions about all of the great technology in Command. So thank you, Nick. That's my bucket fill. Does anybody else have a bucket they want to fill? Yes, MJ Nick is the best.
Jacqueline, do you want to bucket fill Anthony for sponsoring the kickoff for the listing series, KK's kickoff yesterday? It was great. Anthony, as always, thank you so much for always, being there to support all of our trainings and events. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. It always helps to have a little bit of extra. You retain more of the information when you get all the goodness that Anthony and the Movement Mortgage team bring us. Any other bucket fills?
I want to do one.
Go for it, MJ.
To Ariana again for helping me through the process of taking on her old position at the front desk. She's been very helpful as always. And the same with Evie. The two of them are like my go-to and I really appreciate them. Very hardworking ladies and I love you guys. Thank you.
Love that.
I have one too.
Go for it.
Okay. I want to acknowledge Vinny for being an amazing coach. I've been out of the game for a little while because I was really sick in October and I'm back and looks like I might have a listing appointment and I'm just so grateful that he's going to be there every step of the way to guide me through the process and hopefully get this listing nailed. So hopefully I'll have some great news to share with the group. Thank you.
I love it. Positive thinking. Let us know when you land that listing. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, we've got some wonderful welcomes today. So let me jump right into that because we have some awesome humans that have joined our KW family. So I wanted to start and welcome in Shasta Lopez. Welcome. And Swan, I think I see you on here. Welcome in, Swan, a new agent in our Metro office. Welcome. Oh, look, we've got some additional graphics. And I want to welcome in Allie Adams. And welcome into Lisa Hodge. And welcome into Davis Gerald. So welcome in. We're so excited to have you as part of our KW Metro family. Let me ask anybody if they have either a market moment or a culture moment. I know there's been a lot of things adjusting and somebody might have something to share. Anybody have anything, either a culture moment or a market moment, something that's happening in your business? Anything new, somebody that had a buyer and something changed, a seller, something new? Nobody's done any business. Nobody's made any phone calls. Nobody's had any open houses.
I got something for you guys. Remember those old numbers that we used to use, like $50 for every like 10,000 bucks? Remember those? Well, it's not 50 bucks anymore, y'all. So please make sure we get rid of that number out of our mind. We now get to use $80. $80 per every 10,000. So there's a little quick lesson learned. That's all I got. I love you all.
Thank you. That's a good one. We need to update our new metrics as we move forward.
Ed, will you say more to that? Because we've got some newer people on here. So we translate that shorthand. What
so
exactly
really quickly,
do you mean?
If you're having a conversation with someone and they're like, they're trying to negotiate a price and they're like $20,000 apart, it's 160 bucks a month. You're really not going to let this house go over 160 bucks a month, right? It used to be 100 bucks. It's now 160, right? So that's for every 10,000. Add a zero onto both. You're purchasing a home for 500,000. It's going to cost you $4,000 a month. So 800 for every 100,000. Easy math, quick math, just off the top of your head. I want you all to like sound and act like everybody knows their numbers like the back of their hand, right? So $80 per 100,000 if you're purchasing a home. If you're negotiating back and forth, 10,000 is roughly $80 a month. 75, 80 bucks. 80 bucks is easier to count than 75.
You need to fix that ad.
I do. Let me make a call. Is that helpful, Ashley? That makes sense,
That's
guys?
perfect. As
Yeah.
long as everybody understands what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, it's a monthly payment comparison to a total amount that you're borrowing.
There you go.
That you're paying for the house.
Awesome. And if for some reason you still have other questions, you can throw in the chat. Make sure you understand that. It helps with the conversations that you're going to be having with your clients. No shame in asking. Okay. Any other new shifting market moments? Anything else that anybody wanted to add into the group before I move forward to training?
Can I also give a shout out to Eddie for his listing? Congratulations. Eddie, where I know I saw your name in here somewhere, Eddie Hernandez.
Thank you, MJ.
Eddie
Yes.
2.0.
There you are. Congratulations, you guys. He's really getting in there, and oh my God, he's doing really good. I just wanted to say I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Anyone who's interested, it's a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Zip code is 92154. And yeah, my seller is super motivated to sell. He wants to reconnect with his wife. He's in another country. So I really hope that his property sells fast. And thank you.
Awesome. Love filling up everybody's bucket. Great work. Okay, let's move into Evie. I know you have some training announcements.
Yes, I'll just keep it short on tomorrow's reminder. If Stephen didn't remind you yet, or I'm sure he did, tomorrow's language of real estate. I got to get used to that long title. Language of real estate with SJ tomorrow is going to be hybrid. So if you want to do it in person with him here, please come to the training room at 8:30, and then followed by Nick's Command Essentials, focusing on home. So if you need to learn more about home, hop on Zoom with Nick. And then 11 o'clock, BB's Thursdays with BB with guest Maggie Clemens, also on Zoom. And then at 1 o'clock, listing series number 2, that is with Vinny, going over expired, canceled, FSBOs, the next level. So that is in person only. It will not be recorded. We had a great turnout for the kickoff. So come here at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then Thanksgiving potluck is happening next week. I sent out the invitations via Evite RSVP. We'd love to see as many as you all in person. That will be at noon next Wednesday to kick off our awesome Wednesday. And then following that would be Ashley's Market Stats in person only. We will not have it on Zoom. I will repeat, we will not have it on Zoom. It will be in person only. Then right after that is Vision Board being kicked off and led by our Alicia Life and the coaching program. So just that's at right after the team meeting at 2:30. And then also a reminder for this Friday, we are closed in observance of our the Veterans Holiday. So if you have any needs for keys, get with MJ before Friday. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Evie. And you guys, there's a lot of great stuff. It was so much fun to see everybody in person at Halloween. It will be so much fun to see you all next week for Thanksgiving. There is a lot of different options. So plug into those things. And the one thing I would share and add just to all those great things Evie mentioned is we are getting ready to go into a time where most of you will be seeing your friends or family. This is a great time to check back into a lot of these training and courses and just get back in touch with what you're doing so that when you're connecting with your friends and family over the holidays, that you have that top of mind. So just know there are options there. Evie just went through them all. Okay, I would like to introduce our guest today. It's going to be the lovely Eric Gilman. Eric is the area director for the Sharp Retention team of Cutco. He has sold over $3 million of Cutco and is a member of the Cutco Hall of Fame. Eric is an author and client retention specialist, and he is here today to share a cutting edge way to brand yourself forever with your clients. I know, I love it. You know, I love all of this stuff. This is very much in my marketing heart. But Eric, we're so excited to have you here today.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Cool. You know it's going to be a great day when the knife guy shows up to your Zoom meeting, right? You got to bring, I also brought my own hype button too. That's a pretty necessary thing in today's modern world. You can get them on Amazon. I know what you're thinking right now. But I only have a couple of minutes with y'all. First of all, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who's supported Sharp Retention and Cutco over the years. We work with so many people in the Metro office. But for those of you I haven't met, I'm Eric. I am the sharpest guy you know. And here's the deal. Listen up. What we've been doing for the last 10 years very successfully is our team takes a extremely high quality item of value and we brand it with your information and we put it in the most used room in the entire household, used by every single person forever. That's branding. Because I ask people a lot, what systems do you have? I know there's a lot of information in there. I know some of your brains just exploded. Don't worry, I'm going to say it again. I'm always asking agents, loan officers, business owners, I don't care what you're doing, but what systems do you have to make sure that you're branded with every single client forever? Because is staying top of mind important in this business? Yes or yes? Thumbs up if you're with me, right? But so often when I ask people that question, they just go like, oh, I send emails. Well, those go to spam. I send flyers. Well, those go in the trash. I give magnets. Well, those don't stick to the fridge anymore. I'm not saying not to do those things. I'm not saying never to do those. We all know it's all about getting more touches. And that's what we give you. We give you 300 extra soft touches a year in the most used room in the household. I'll say it one more time. We brand you on a high quality item of value used by every single person in the house, in the most used room in the house forever. Now, I know for those of you who don't know me yet, you're probably sitting there wondering like, Eric, what is this amazing product? And so most of you already know, we've been taking a brand of high quality knives called Cutco and we custom engrave it with your name, your logo, your tag on it. It's a little tough to see on Zoom, but you can get the idea. And of course, I'm going to follow up with anybody who wants some more information. Show of hands. I know a lot of us camera off. Show of hands. Wave your hands in the hair like you just don't care if you've got any Cutco in your house. Couple people. For those of you who just shook your hand up, go ahead and throw some Cutco love in the chat. How long you've had it for, something you think about it, just for the people who've never heard of it before. But the bottom line is this, my friends, 90% of the gifts you're giving are getting eaten, drank, and put on a shelf or forgotten about. So the bottom line is we put you on that high quality item of value. Because the gifts are engraved, they're 100% tax deductible. Okay, I'll say it again. You can write off the entire cost of the gift as marketing, advertising. We're simply taking the money that you're already spending on consumable gifts like wine and champagne and gift cards and converting it to something that actually lasts. So it saves you money in the long run, keeps you branded, keeps you top of mind. I want to ask a quick question. Well, I'm going to put Ashley's got a camera off. Peggy's got a camera off. People who use our gifts on my front screen here. I'm going to put one of you two on the, there it is, Ashley. I'm going to ask you a question in just a sec. I want to wrap it up here. But the way that the program works, we ship you out a supply of gifts to have on hand for the year. Okay, a year supply of gifts could be 6 gifts, which is our minimum order. It could be 600 gifts, which would make you my #1 customer. But the point being, we ship you everything at once. We bill you over 6 months interest-free. So when you have a deal, a referral, a closing, a home anniversary, a birthday you forgot about, a wedding gift that you need a gift for, it's in your office, you grab it, you give it to them, they love it, and you're done. Actually, you've given out a bunch of our gifts and you've used our Cutco for many years. What's like, real quick, one of the things you like most about it or about our program?
I don't know how we ever had a kitchen without these knives. I now have 7, and they're the sharpest, most durable things in our kitchen. To the point where I'm sure most of you who have Cutco have lost a few fingertips. You do have to be careful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. You're awesome. Eddie, you got a question? Comment? You're muted.
He lost a fingertip.
Oh, he's holding up his hand. He's got the
I lost this piece of my finger.
The old I love Cutco approach. I get it. They're my favorite knives. Okay. And actually, thank you. And I'll leave you with this thought, and I'm going to actually give away a free piece of Cutco and we'll get out of here. I'll leave you with this thought as we approach the holidays, but as we go into next year, because the work we do today has resulted months, weeks, years down the road. How is the way you're appreciating your clients representing the lifetime relationship you plan on having with them? Don't give gifts that don't represent that relationship. I'm not saying never to do those things ever, but give something of value that lasts. So I want to meet with anyone who wants to meet with me. It takes 15, 20 minutes over Zoom. I'll chat you through our program. I'll help you place a gift order if you would like to. I'm going to give away $100 of free Cutco right now. Okay, the only thing in the whole world better than Cutco is free Cutco. I can hear you all. Don't worry. I have a special feature. I can hear you shout out through your mutes. It's amazing. Pull out your phones. All right, everyone, pull your phone out. You probably have it in your hand already. Most of your texting I already know. Pull your phone out. Open up your text app, and I'm going to have you send two things. If you want to get entered in the drawing, this is very simple. Listen up. All you have to write is your name, just your first name. If you would like to set up a time to meet with me, it takes 15 minutes. There's no obligation to get anything, and I'll even send you a signed copy of the book that I wrote just for meeting with me. Put the word sharp. SHARP, like, wow, that knife is sharp. All right, so just your name for the drawing. Put the word sharp if you want to get entered. The number is in the chat, but I'll say it right here. You're going to text the number 858-255-1142, 858-255-1142. I'm going to just wrap it up there, and I'm going to have Evie pick the winner in a moment. I know I'm short on time here. The phone has started to blow up, so you all get the rules. Any quick questions, comments, or concerns before I turn it over? I love y'all. Well, I'll leave it with that. Evie, I'm going to have you pick the answer in 10 seconds. That's your 10-second warning. And I'll just leave you with this last thought is I'm just so grateful to be part of the Metro family. And as we have been Zooming so much lately, as we have live events, I can't wait to get back more with you. But I've been selling knives and changing lives for over a decade now. And the success of our team has because of the success of your work and your team. So I'm just super grateful to have the opportunity to share. If I don't see you before the end of the year, I hope you have a healthy, safe, and extraordinarily grateful and happy rest of your year. So thank you. Evie, pick a number 1 through a lot. I got 12. 1 to 12.
6.
Lucky number 6. Alexis Valenzuela. That's a beautiful name.
That's me.
That's a beautiful name. Extraordinarily hard to pronounce, but I love it.
Thank you.
All right, cool. I'll text you with the thing. I'll get back with everybody. And of course, anytime I can be of service to you or your team, please stay in touch. And I hope everybody has a super sharp rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. You rock.
Yep. I'm going to say exactly what Ashley said. You rock, you're awesome. And we are excited to have you as part of our family as well. You always bring great energy and a great way for us to stay in touch with our clients. So thank you for being here.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and turn it over to Broker Bob.
Hey, thank you, Jacqueline. Yes, Eric, we love your knives. He actually even got me a custom engraved one that said #HillcrestDaddy on it. So the guy knows what he's doing. So really, and I use it all the time. Anyway, let's give some shout outs to people in the Launch and the Growth Coaching Program. On Team Alicia, Edward Rodriguez got another escrow. He's in Launch. Marlon took his first listing in Launch. And Alyssa, Amy, and Swan all joined #Team Alicia in the Launch program. Welcome. Listen to what she says and do exactly what she outlines to you if you want to be successful. Just saying. On Coach Carl's team, Mr. Emmanuel got another escrow close. He's in growth. And then Celia Perkins wrote her first offer that she got from an open house lead. She's in Launch. And on Team Deborah, Eric Robinson opened 2 escrows in growth. Congratulations. Deborah is becoming a really skilled and crafted coach. Congratulations on that. Okay, a little quick broker update. I need to remind you, wire fraud is still a thing out there. $2.5 million recently in San Diego went to Nigeria from a wire fraud case, and the money is not going to be recovered. How do I know this? The attorney that I know the attorney that's representing the buyer that is suing everybody. And that's kind of what happens. Whenever you get into a wire fraud case, the buyer, they lose the money. They're going to sue the escrow, the lender, the agents, the brokerages on every side. So how do you protect yourself? And I keep telling you guys this, you've got to use a secure email because that's how these people get it. They tap into your Yahoo account or AOL account or Outlook account. They can tap into those. The KW account, email account should be something you should use because it has the two-factor authentication fixed into it already. And especially if you're using a vanity email, like your name at your fullname.com, there's no security in that. So just want to let you know that if you are in a wire fraud, which does happen, you would be held responsible for it at a very hefty sum. So be aware of that. All right, that's it. Back to you, Jacqueline.
Thank you. Let's see, next on the schedule, Movement Mortgage. Thank you for joining at the beginning of the call. Anything else to add for us today from the Movement Mortgage team?
No, I want to give Nicole as much time as possible. Anthony, Matt, you guys had anything to add? Yeah, I think Nicole's time here is much more valuable.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do is, I know we are getting tight on time so that we can give that time to Nicole. If you have a property pitch or a buyer need, go ahead and throw that in the chat so that you guys can connect after. So go ahead and start doing that now. If you have any property pitches, any buyer needs, please go ahead and throw that in the chat. Without further ado, we want to make sure we can get to our main featured guest today. Nicole is here from B Squared Credit, and she's going to talk all about getting your clients credit ready. So let me pass it over to you, Nicole. You're still on mute.
While Nicole figures out how to use Zoom.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Eddie.
Just so everybody knows, Amanda and I and Wes, and Nicole have been working together probably 5 or 6 years now. And she is our go-to guru when it comes to credit. She knows credit like the back of her hand. I wouldn't be surprised if she invented credit to begin with. But in all honesty, you guys, if there's anything that you ever have any kind of questions about, please make sure you jot down all of our information and listen intently today, because every single time that she speaks, I love listening. I always learn something new. It's awesome. So without further ado, thank you so much, Nicole, for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I always love to spend time with the real estate agents because you guys are out there talking to the clients, and I really want you guys to have some understanding about credit. And when somebody says to you, gosh, I'd love to buy a house, but I can't credit qualify, or my credit scores are just too low and therefore the rates are just way too high, I want you guys to know that you have a trusted partner, and that together with Movement Mortgage kind of being in the middle, because they can help pull credit, they can tell us what the underwriting criteria is, what middle credit score we need. So really working closely as a team really benefits all of us. But let me just start by giving you a little background on who I am. Hopefully you can see my slides. If Ed or somebody can just give me a quick confirmation, you can. Awesome. So again, I'm Nicole Soares. I've owned B Squared Credit now for 10 years. If you check us out anywhere on Yelp, we have only 5-star reviews, which is pretty much unheard of in this type of industry. But I would say my differentiator is that I worked for FICO. I spent 5 years at FICO covering Europe, Middle East, and Africa, really helping understand the analytics. Our credit score is there to really define our level of trustworthiness. It tells lenders how likely, if we were to get approved for the loan that we're requesting, how likely is it that we would repay that loan? And so that credit score is just so important. And so having an insider look and understanding how to read a credit report and how to be able to influence a credit score in the shortest amount of time so that together we can help get more credit our clients qualified for home loans is something that I'm committed to helping you guys do. And I'm grateful to be part of your team because my biggest success is working with you guys, because that's where most of my business comes from. I have about 300 loan officers and realtors nationally. I do own a national company, and so I can support you if you guys are doing loans outside of California. I can support you with loans anywhere. But again, my number one goal is for you guys to have some talking points as to what you respond when somebody tells you they can't credit qualify, or that the rates are just too high based on low credit scores. I want you to have some basic information so you can respond. And so unless you guys have any questions, we can go ahead and jump in, and I'll just give you a little credit education, and then also talk to you about the types of credit scenarios that come to me that I can best help with, because there's a lot of confusion around credit repair and credit consulting and what we can do for you. Anything you want to add to that, Ed, or anybody have any questions before I jump in?
No, I mean, in all honesty, whenever I send anyone over to Nicole, there's always that initial consultation that's always so important. And, whether or not she might be able to help, she'll tell you right there on the spot. And she'll give you an entire outline, and she'll take the time to listen, and she cares, and that's really why she fits so well within just all of us at Movement, at Keller Williams. Like we all care about people, and that's the angle that she takes, and it's so important to have that conversation with people, especially when they're down and out because they feel the credit's not that great.
Right. And so thank you. Number one, we start as a give back to you guys as our partners. We always start with a free complimentary consultation. So if somebody says, I've got poor credit, you say, great, I've got a partner that I trust that I know can give you a free consultation. How do they turn that down? They're getting an opportunity to work directly with a credit expert. Why would they say no to that? It's free knowledge and free information. And again, I don't put people in a service such as a paid service like credit repair unless I'm sure that that's the right solution to solve their problem. On this particular side, I really want to get across that credit dictates so many decisions about us. Obviously, in your situation, we're talking about home loan pricing and whether you get approved, but it literally is used to assess risk in almost every decision of our life. And so that getting that trustworthiness score up for all of us as individuals, as consumers, and our clients does nothing but greatly benefit us in every aspect of our life. One thing I do is I'm very passionate about pushing out education. And so one thing I want to start with is one of the most common questions that I get from clients. And they say, why, when I go to Credit Karma, does it tell me my score is a 680, but then when I go to my loan officer and Ed pulls credit, Ed tells me my middle score is a 580. How is that possible? I don't know if you guys can give me a little show of hands. I mean, is this a scenario that you run into regularly? I can't imagine that it's not. I want you guys to take a moment. If you have this QR code, you guys can take a look at it now. Otherwise, I'll follow up with you and make sure that you have the link to this guide. But the Credit Clarity Guide that I give away for free really answers this question. And really the answer is credit scores differ by bureau, by brand, and by day. So bureau, as you guys know, you've been doing this business for a long time, many of you, there's 3 major credit bureaus, right? They're the data sources. These are private companies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. They each manage their own data set, okay? That has nothing to do with the credit score. They are just a data company. Then you have the brand, which is the next section. And the brand is the actual analytics. So FICO, which is the company I work for, FICO has a brand of credit score. That's the one that Ed uses as an example when decisioning a loan. He uses the FICO mortgage branded credit score. But when you go to Credit Karma, they're using something I call a FICO score. They're using a Vantage credit score. Different brand. They both assess risk. They're both predictive analytics, but ultimately the Vantage score is not trusted by lenders, and therefore it's not used for loan decisions, but it's great for just understanding overall how you're doing with managing your credit and just getting a basic assessment. But when it comes to applying for credit, we want to know what your FICO branded credit score is because they own the market on loan decisions. Now, just to break that down another level is because FICO's been around for so long, FICO actually has multiple models, right? They have FICO Auto, FICO Mortgage, FICO Credit Card, FICO General. So I'm going to give you a graph in just a minute to explain that further. But not only does this add confusion because there's multiple brands, but it also adds confusion because then there's multiple models within the brand. So if you're applying for an auto loan, most likely that bank is going to be using your auto FICO model to decision that loan. Okay. And the last thing, I don't know if you remember years ago, there was a Credit Karma commercial and they talked about tattooing your credit score on your body. Well, our credit scores are ever changing because every day the 3 bureaus are getting new data about us. And so every time new data comes in, your credit score has the opportunity to change. You guys have seen this before. All of a sudden, what happens? You're getting ready to close on a loan and somebody goes and opens a brand new auto loan. The auto loan tanks the score because now you have a new installment loan. Installment loans take 9 to 12 months to mature before that credit score recovers from that new loan because the FICO score says, oh my gosh, they just got this $40,000 loan. Can they handle this new obligation? And they're going to make you prove it before your credit score rebounds and that loan eventually even becomes helpful to you. So every day your data is changing. Another example of that, which you guys have probably seen, especially through COVID, I'm seeing people are carrying much, much higher credit card balances. Well, if all of a sudden you max out a credit card, your credit scores could plummet 50 points because of the impact balance to limit ratio on credit cards has on your overall credit score. So I went a little bit deep on this slide, but ultimately I want you guys to understand that the reason your Credit Karma score differs from the credit score that Ed pulls on a loan is because there's 3 bureaus, multiple brands, and even by day, our data is changing. If you go to the Credit Clarity Guide, I break that down into even more detail, but I want to show you guys a quick graph. I'm going to skip catch up for a second here. I'm going to go to this one first. So I want you to meet Robert. Robert was a client of ours, and Robert was trying to get an auto loan, and he went to go apply, and he was devastated that his credit score came back so much lower than he expected. For whatever reason, when he went to the bank, they pulled TransUnion Auto. His score was 651 on his TransUnion Auto. He thought his scores were somewhere like a 700, 703. So needless to say, they were substantially lower than he expected. So what we did is we pulled all of his FICO credit scores and we pulled his Vantage credit scores through our preferred vendor called Identity IQ. And we saw between the 3 bureaus and the different brands that Robert's scores actually differed by 77 points across the different brands and different bureaus. That is not unusual. Any questions about that? Okay. I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to give you the breakdown between FICO and Vantage, because Vantage is the one that most people are getting when they're online because it's just a cheap score, right? The bureaus actually came together to create the Vantage score so that they could compete with the FICO credit score. And when they did that, they weighted the model differently. So as an example, if you have negative marks on your FICO credit score, it makes up 35% of your FICO score. But if you have negative marks on your Vantage score, it only makes up 32% of your Vantage score. So if you pay something late, your Vantage score is still going to be higher than your FICO score because it's a 3% difference in the weighting. Okay, so let's take the next section of going in the, what has the biggest impact. Let's take amount owed. This is where we take your revolving balances compared to your revolving credit limit. So let's say credit cards, and we figure out what percent of your available credit limits are you using. So let's say we have 2 credit cards. In total, we have $10,000 of open to buy, and we're running a $5,000 total balance. So we would then have a 50% utilization rate, okay? In FICO, in general, the best practices, we wanna see lower than 20% balance to limit ratio. So if we're carrying a 50% utilization rate, we know that we're missing out on part of our 30% of our score, which then obviously is going to drop our credit score for FICO. But Vantage is saying it only makes up 23% of their model. So right away, the 2 top areas have a substantial difference that can really make up 40, 50, 60 point difference between these 2 models. Okay. I'm going to just now focus on the FICO model because this is what I want you to understand, because you guys are here supporting clients and getting home loans, and this is the loan, or this is the model that's going to be used. So we talked about, do you pay your bills on time? We talked about how much of you're open to buy. Together, that's 65% of your credit score. Now we have the remaining percent, which is the 15%, which is length of credit history. So this is where we say, don't be opening and closing credit cards, right? We want to have accounts that are with us for the long term, because the account maturity is making up 15% of our credit score. So if we have a customer that just has all these new accounts, he's right away missing out on length of credit history. We have 2 techniques for tricking systems to get this quickly added to clients' credit files. I'm not going to go too deep, but sometimes it's piggybacking, where we become an authorized user on a mature account. And sometimes it's adding up to 24 months of past rental history. So when I see this as an area somebody's missing out on, I provide them coaching on how to be able to influence this part of their score, which can move as quickly as 30 days, the needle on their credit score.
I got a quick
And
question
then-
for you.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, please.
Where on here do I see inquiries? Where does that?
Yeah,
come
so
into play?
that's under new credit. So the last two 10%, new credit is going to be new accounts open and inquiries. That's grouped together. And the other 10% is a mix of account types or type of credit. So if I look at a file and they have 3 credit cards and that's all they have, I know they're missing out on mix of account types. So again, this could be where we add rental history, because now we can get a positive installment loan. We don't want to add a rental history from today going forward. We want to add rental history for the past 24 months, because we can go backwards on the vendor that we use. So we can get length of credit history equal to up to 2 years, plus get that mix of account type by having an installment loan. If I went from today going forward, it's kind of like that auto loan situation where now it looks like they just opened a brand new installment loan. That's not doing anybody any good.
So
Okay.
I guess the reason I asked is it's a really common question that, oh, hey, someone just ran my credit. I don't want you to run it again because I don't want someone dinging my credit. And I'm sure everybody on the call has heard that too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want somebody else looking at it because someone just did it. But
Right.
wouldn't you say that it's actually advantageous for them to do it really quickly to have somebody else look at it?
It can be. So generally that is not the culprit of a score issue, because number one, we look at how many inquiries they've had in the last 12 months. And then we look at like inquiries and we dedupe them within the FICO model. So for example, let's say you have 4 mortgage pulls in the last 30 days. FICO dedupes that and counts that as 1 because they're grouped together in 30 days. So inquiries are okay. It's not a problem. It's only when something is excessive that it becomes a problem. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. I want to just go to this next slide. I tend to talk fast. As you guys can see, I'm super passionate and nerdy about credit. I'm going to force myself to pause for a minute. Do you guys have any questions at all about what we've covered? Because I want to make sure you guys understand this. Okay. If you do, feel free to follow up with me. So this slide
quick question. On one of those charts, it said depth of credit. What does that mean?
Depth of credit. Yes.
Right here.
So
on
that's equal to mix of account types. So depth of credit just meaning like mix of account types. We want to see something other than just credit cards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the terminology that they use is very different, and so I just pulled it directly what they give us in the model breakdown. But generally, you'll see that they really do align side by side. Okay. All right. So, Ed, keep me honest on time. Okay. So, can somebody remind me?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So, this is something that I added recently that I really hope will help you guys. I wish I wasn't called a credit repair company. I have to be called a credit repair company because there's a lot of industry requirements around credit repair. And whenever somebody makes a claim that says I can help increase somebody's credit scores, I am by default a credit repair company and I have to comply with those laws and regulations. The reason I say that is because credit is never a one size fits all. You can call me and you can say, how long is it going to take me to get 40-point improvement for this client? I'll say, I need to see the credit file, right? Because every file is so unique. I have to, as a credit expert, and this is where I think one of my biggest differentiators is, I have to look at the report and customize the right solution. So when you send a file to me, one of the referral templates that I give you for the email introduction says, help me understand your client's goals, right? And then your client gets an opportunity to fill out a questionnaire before they meet with me that tells me their goals and maybe some of their credit challenges and why they're in the predicament that they're in. Because ultimately, I want to customize a plan for you are my client. The client is my client, right? If I don't make you happy, then you're not going to refer me your business. And then it's not going to make me successful. So ultimately, I am double challenged because I've got to make you happy and I have to make your clients happy. So I am committed to making sure we customize a solution for every client that meets their needs. So I've got 4 client scenarios that are very typical that I want to walk you through. Number one is we have Joe. Joe has high credit card debt. He feels like he's treading water. Sure, he'd love to buy a house, but remember, 30% of his credit score is based on how much of his credit card limits is he using. So if he's treading water and he's, highly utilized, for sure his credit scores are low, right? He may not have any negative credit, but you might be referring him to me because you've got a situation where his credit scores are low because he has a debt problem, okay? I can't fix a credit problem in this situation without fixing a debt problem. Sometimes if Joe's scores are high enough, we're looking at a 0% interest balance transfer card. We're looking at refinancing credit card debt into a fixed installment loan. Sometimes when it's worse than that, we got to go to our partner Debt Wave and we have to do a debt consolidation service. Debt Wave is a third-party nonprofit that I love in some situations, but what they do is they would go through and negotiate lower interest rate, lower monthly payments across Joe's debt. So when Joe makes a payment towards his debt, he will be able to pay that debt off much quicker and become debt-free versus an average client. If they're maxed out making minimum payments, it'll take 10 years for them to pay off that debt. Debt Wave will usually restructure debt so somebody is debt-free within 3.5 years. Again, this is a debt problem that we're solving for. This is not somebody that's necessarily going and trying to buy a house tomorrow, but you're still referring to me because you're doing the right thing and you're helping somebody that feels like they're really overwhelmed by their credit card debt and they don't know what to do, okay? Joe doesn't have to default. He doesn't have to go past due. We can customize the right solution for Joe to be able to get this paid down. I generally do this through a free consultation. Joe normally doesn't pay me any money. Unless Joe says to me, I've got $10,000, Nicole, can you help me prioritize where to put this money so I can get the biggest credit benefit? Then I'll do a one-time customized coaching plan for $100 to $200 while I'll prioritize how he pays that down so that he can use his money wisely. Okay, so generally that's free advice, but there are some coaching opportunities. Now we go to debt settlement. Gosh, I can't stand seeing these things, but unfortunately, there's a lot of good marketing dollars behind Freedom, Debt Relief, and all these big companies out there. Sarah has accounts that maybe she's even current. Maybe she initially looked like Joe, but somebody told her, hey, go ahead and default on all that debt, your installment loans and credit cards. Start sending us money into the escrow account. And then once they default, we'll start one at a time settling these accounts for you for pennies on the dollar. Okay, have you guys all seen this, right? Brand new lates, brand new charge-offs. Sarah is at risk of getting sued if she doesn't settle these accounts. And she's also at risk of her credit taking a bigger hit because some of these accounts that are now charged off could sell to a collection agency, getting double dinged for the same defaulted account. If Sarah has funds set aside, we can help with debt settlement services. And we can also kind of coach her on a recovery path. I don't like to see these big debt consolidation companies used in this situation, but sometimes by the time they get to me, they've already gone through that and we're doing cleanup after the fact. But it is illegal to tell Sarah to stop paying her accounts so that they can be settled later. That is completely illegal, and a lot of these companies will do that. What I would rather do is help Sarah understand her financial and credit risks and options so she can make the right decision for herself. Obviously, a roof over her head, food on the table, all these things are way more important than paying her credit card debt, but we want to be able to help her recover financially and credit-wise as quickly as possible. Okay. 2 more. So we have Tim. Tim has government student loan debt. Oh goodness, have you guys not heard a ton about government student loans these days with everything going on with forgiveness? It has been a service that we've offered for many years. We are really good at restructuring debt. Sometimes it's because they have an excessive number of installment loans. I'm sure you guys have seen, like Ed on a credit report, you're looking at a credit report and they have 15 student loans and they total up to $150,000. That is really hard to get a DTI, a debt to income ratio that allows them to be able to qualify for a home loan of substantial amount. sometimes we have to restructure that debt in order to, and when we do that, we're not moving them out of government student loans. We're working within the government programs to be able to consolidate those loans into one, and we're able to lower the monthly payment. And by getting rid of the excessive number of installment loans, by paying all those 15 loans off, by balance transferring into the new installment loan, clients will also see improvements to their credit score, because anything that's excessive on a credit report hurts credit scores, right? So it really is an awesome program if they're in default, if they have an excessive number, if they have a issue with debt to income ratio, all of those types of scenarios we can help with. And then lastly, credit repair. So somebody has negative marks, they have low credit scores, maybe they're a victim of fraud, maybe data on their credit report is inaccurate for them. Regardless on the scenario, we do specialize and offer credit repair services, and all of our credit repair services always complement credit coaching. Credit coaching is something that we always deliver with our services, because, go back to the pie chart, I'm going to back up for a second, and I want you to look at this with me. 35% of your credit score is, do you pay your bills on time, right? We get that, 35%. But the other 65% is, it has nothing to do with have you ever been late. It's how well do you manage your good credit. So if I'm putting a client in credit repair and I'm helping with the 35%, I'm providing coaching so that they can better manage the 65%. So together, we're getting their scores as high as possible in the shortest amount of time. To me, that is one of the most important things that I do that most credit repair companies don't, because they are not credit experts and they do not know how to better manage the 65%. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I would love some feedback. We could talk about how to refer clients. I want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of how to talk these off. I mean, when somebody says I have low credit scores, or maybe you go to Ed and Ed does a pool and he gives them a loan package, and the client's like, I don't want to pay that percent. I can't afford that, or that's ridiculous. Well, guess what? We have risk-based pricing. Risk-based pricing is based on your credit score. If you don't like your rates, obviously we have to work within current rates, but you could substantially improve your rate and give them a better loan package and make them want to stay with you and do a loan with you by helping give them knowledge of how to increase their credit score that nobody else is investing in. You guys can build your pipeline, and you guys can give them knowledge and support that nobody else is taking the time to do. It's a 5-minute email referral to me. I take it over. I keep you guys updated. We have very affordable pricing. We have really good services, but ultimately you are my client. You are kept in the loop, and you'll know when this client is ready to buy and when it's time to repull credit when we're done. So thank you. I had 2 coffees this morning. I think it shows.
Questions, you guys? I know we're usually dealing with most of the credit issues and stuff like that, and we're just reporting back to you. But I mean, in general, this is part of life. You know, it impacts us all. Whether you're buying a home, you're buying a car, you're going out there, you're getting student loans or what have you, or you're taking out a credit card. Like, all this impacts each and every one of us. Do you guys have an expert here at your disposal? We have her for 10 minutes. Does anybody have any kind of questions that might just pop into mind?
Collection accounts. What do you do as far as collection accounts, especially government collections?
Okay, and can you be more specific? Are you talking about they
have student loans in.
Okay. So really good question. In order to get through underwriting, those government student loans have to show a zero balance. And so most of the time we will confirm that they are indeed in default, and we'll look to see if the government says they qualify for a rehabilitation program. A rehabilitation program, at the end of it, will remove 100% of the student loan collections, eliminate the late fees, any ability to have garnishments. Right now, those rehabilitations have been shrunk down to 3 to 4 months. The government used to have them more like 9 to 12 months, but during COVID, they've gotten a little bit more creative and they're getting them through the pipeline. So we have to get government student loans out of default. When we do that through rehab, we're also getting the credit score benefit, because at the end of the program, the government removes the collections off the credit report. So they get a double win. Loans are out of default, they can get through underwriting, and the collections are off.
Nicole, can I ask about like sample timing to fix your credit? So say I have somebody that I'm talking to over the holidays, I'm at a family gathering and they're like, oh, 2023 is like out of the question, my credit's bad. Is it something, can I still tell them like, meet with my credit expert? We might be able to do that in 6 months, in a year. Like, what's that timing
For
like?
sure. I don't know. I mean, Ed, gosh, I mean, I would say our average is 5 months, but we've got things finishing in 30 days. We have things in 12 months. I mean, it really just differs on the file, but I would say on average it's 5 months. And again, it's not that they're in a paid repair service with us. Sometimes they've got their task list, they are in coaching, and it just takes them the time to get through those tasks in order for their credit report to update based on the actions they've taken.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
gives me hope for some people.
Yeah, I mean, this is the crazy thing. Literally, we can have 100-point score improvement in 3 months. It's not rocket science. It's almost frustrating being in this industry because I think it's made to seem so difficult. It really isn't. It's just having the right plan for the right person and getting them to follow through, right? So I'll CC, like, for example, with Wes, with Ed, Amanda has been a longtime partner of ours as well. Every time we're doing what we call a round of credit repair, which takes about 30 to 35 days, we're copying the partner to say, hey, great news, we deleted 5 items. Your scores have come up by 30 points. And then it'll say, here's 3 things that we don't show you've completed from your coaching plan. Have you opened an account? Have you paid this account? Have you settled this account? That is a great time for the partner to go, hey, congrats on the score improvements. It looks like there's a couple things Nicole's reminding you that needs to get done. Have you done that? Do you need any clarification? What can I support you with? Let's keep working as a team to keep them motivated on their goal. And that's what gets them to the end, because it's hard to get these to the end. It's hard to get them back to say, okay, they fixed their credit. Now 6 months, they've moved on to a new goal, right? How do we get them back to you to get them re-energized and focused on getting that home loan done? And you guys have got to help with that. I can get the score improvements, but in 6 months, if I pass them back and they're like, oh, we changed our mind, we don't want to buy a house, that's because you haven't been following up along the process to re-engage and get them excited about that goal. That's just my opinion. Hopefully that didn't come across negatively.
No, and we can help you build a smart plan for that in Command. So we can help with that.
Awesome. I'd love to learn about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have questions? This is a great resource, Nicole. It's so nice to know that we have a credit expert that's part of our team. And I totally agree with you. I think that would be a better name. It's a credit expert. It's not that you necessarily are doing something terribly bad. It's optimizing. It's making sure that you're making the most of your credit to really get that highest score you can. So I love that.
I got a question for you, Nicole.
Yeah.
Can you touch on a little bit on the new FICO 10T that's coming out that they've announced? I know it's been a couple of years until that kind of falls into play, but we haven't elaborated on that with our team, so it'll be great if you could.
So a couple things. It's really hard. So I worked at Bank of America for 13 years before I went to go work at FICO. Every time FICO releases a new model, the amount of effort it takes to be able to determine what our bad rates are and cost and pricing is just ridiculous. So adoption of models is one of the biggest issues when new models come out. So I can't even speak to when I think that's going to become available. So I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to answer that, but I will tell you a couple of things. Yeah,
I literally just got the bulletin a couple of days ago. I didn't know if you read about it, but apparently, FHFA, and those. The government basically is saying, hey, we need you guys to all come together and give us like a little bit more consistent data and take more reasonable things into account, like the cell phone
trended data
thing, right?
Right. Well, so we have 2 issues, right? So the biggest issue is how do you get the data across all 3 bureaus for the credit model to score it? So you have to have, like, for example, trended data, right? Trended data came out years ago, where the goal was to tell us throughout the month how you're behaving on an account rather than just giving us a once a month snapshot. Well, that is great, but unfortunately, if not all lenders are providing trended data, then FICO can't score that data, right? It has to be universal. And same thing, again, FICO is the model. When we go to talking about adding utility data, we're talking about the data, right? So the three bureaus have to determine, are they going to bring in those new data sources? And then only then will FICO be able to then use it to score it to help improve their risk assessment. So to me, all of that stuff is so far from reality, but I'm happy to get back with you. But there are a couple things. Number one, paid medical collections are no longer going to be on credit reports. That changed in July, right? So if you see a small medical collection, absolutely tell them to pay it, right? Because as soon as that gets updated, usually within 30 to 60 days, that collection has come off. One collection, if that's all they have, can literally be 80 points of somebody's credit score that they would get back once that's paid.
Is there a limit for that?
Pardon?
Is there a limit for that medical bill? Like, what if it's like $10,000?
It doesn't matter. Once it's updated to zero, it could be settled or paid in full. It's irrelevant. Once that balance is zero, the credit bureaus wipe it from the data report. Yeah. And then now they're talking about next July, possibly removing all medical accounts with balances less than $500, right? So not paid, just less than 500. And I just want to say the reason for this is because we have crappy medical claim data, right? We have a broken medical claims process, and the credit bureaus have said, I'm not going to let you bring in data that isn't accurate. We've done enough data studies to show that half of these claims are invalid and inaccurate. And so if somebody pays it, it's coming off, right? It happened back a couple years ago where liens and judgments used to come into the public record section of the credit reports. Well, the courts did a horrible job managing their data. Once a judgment got satisfied and a lien got satisfied, it wasn't getting updated to the credit report. And so the credit bureaus got together and said, we are no longer bringing in public record data related to liens and judgments. So we lost that data. So Ed, for example, that might be funding a loan, he at the last hour or at some point during his process has to go and pull court records because we don't get that data on the credit reports anymore. So anytime we have a data issue, the credit bureaus get together and they suppress that data. And they'll continue to do that. And it puts a lot of pressure onto medical collection agencies to do the right thing and clean up their data.
Last month, 16 and 17 taxes, Matt. How did you know about that? My client said to us. We're like in the middle, we're like getting towards the end of escrow. It's a quick escrow. I'm like, dude, we told
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So what do people get sued over most often? Auto repos and apartment collections. Those are big problems. When I see them on credit reports, I almost always go check court records because you may not have pulled that data yet. I'm looking for what's going to get stuck in underwriting. I'm looking at how do we get the credit scores up. I'm looking at the whole plan so that when I get it back to you, my goal is to make sure that you're not going to have underwriting issues and you're not going to have, loan approval credit score issues. So.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for trusting me. I love you guys. Again, I work with Movement Mortgage. I have been doing these educations about twice a year for all of the Keller Williams offices. There's about 19 nationally I work with, and I do it as a give back to educate the realtors, but really as Movement Mortgage to help deepen your guys' relationship. It helps me so much when you go to Movement and have them pull credit, because then it tells me the loan cutoffs, the underwriting, and then I can customize the right solution. It doesn't have to. If your client doesn't want to do a hard pull, bring them to me. I'll do a soft pull. It's no problem. You can come direct. But when they're serious, and I'd say they're wanting to buy in the next 6 months, really get the movement involved because it'll make this whole process so much easier.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Love it.
Thanks, you guys.
Education today, Nicole, super helpful. I know this will help people as they have people who maybe aren't sure. This is a great conversation. Get them connected with Movement Mortgage and Nicole. Keep it moving forward. Stay in touch. If you have questions about that, we'll get you a smart plan. But thank you so much for all the value you brought today. I learned a bunch of little nugget things that I'm definitely going to take with me. And I will return everybody else back to their day. Go have real estate conversations.